Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan.
And today we've got a special-ish battle report. This one's going to be Ethan's Circle into my Legion, but it's going to be Legion from CID. So we got a lot of new rules that we're playing with here, and Bethayne should be a fun time.
So I'm playing Iona in Tharn, of course. My battle group is just the Storm Raptor, because I like that variant a little bit more than the Warp Wolf and Goat version. Got a Gallows Grove, Shaman, Night Witch, Feasty Boy, White Mane, Blood Weavers, 2 units of Ravagers, Brigand and Call, and then the Pots, which for some reason is showing as illegal, but it's fine.
I think when I built the list, I just didn't set it as the friendly thing, or maybe I turned the friendly thing off, so that was just me being dumb.
It is a legal list.
Yeah,
I've been playing that since pre-Oblivion switches.
So for the Legion side, I also have a legal list, but if you were to do the math on these, I'd be 2 points over because Bethayne went up. This is kind of going to be the battle of the birds, so to speak. I have an Archangel and then 2 thrones in here, so it's a lot more huge bases. And it's not because I'm trying to be cute. I do think that there's a lot of traction to this list. It brings a lot of elements that can crack armor and also hit well because we got Ice Cage all over the place if we really need that. And I just think that the Archangel got so many improvements that it's really hard to not play it anymore. And for this list, some of the weird things, you'll see the Nephilim Bloodseer. I wanted that for telemetry and the ability to get the Archangel's Animus out so I can fully boost everything.
So I won the role to go first, and I opted to, of course, go first, because I know this is going to be a weird matchup where I don't want to feat defensively, but he out-threatens me so far, but I needed to get up the board, because all of his stuff is like speed 7, flight, so I needed to at least claim some board space and maybe start shooting turn 2 with the bird.
Yeah, the thrones are a little slow with speed 5, but they have a 12-inch threat just like a blockader would because they've got that 4-inch reach on their tentacles.
Yep. So all they have to do is charge something, hit it, and then spine burst all over Ravagers under your feet.
Yeah, it's like a 22-inch massive threat if you're using Eruption.
Mm-hmm. And I actually got my bird painted up for this because we wanted to do a battle of the birds.
Yep, and I almost got the Archangel done, but it's a model that I want to pay some special attention to, so it's just got enough to say that it's painted.
I just slapped contrast paints all over mine and called it good. And it actually doesn't look terrible.
No, it looks really good. I think your Zapdos take is very nice. I saw a Moltres one.
Yeah, my next one's going to be like an Articuno because that's just blue.
You'll just need to get a third bird. For those Unbound games.
No. And as you can tell, I've already started hitting the wings on the bird because this is the first game I've ever played with a Storm Raptor where the wings are attached because they are just always in the way.
Yeah, not so much a problem for me because the Archangel's wings are a little bit more vertical, but when I was painting mine, I kept bumping it into my little ventilation hood when I was airbrushing it. So that was I understand your wing problems, just not so much for play.
Yep. Usually when I play a Storm Raptor, I'm playing 2 of them with my cutes Kruger 1 list where they're both on what's her face? Bird Lady Una.
Yeah.
Yep. On Una, so like usually they're butt to butt right in front of her, but with the wings on, you physically can't do that. It's worth noting my prey target for Brigand and Call is the Archangel because I have had them nearly 1 round of Colossal by themselves, so I'm thinking about maybe trading the bird because I think an Archangel with all the buffs can 1 round a bird pretty easily.
Yeah, there's enough efficiency in this list to where, especially with Bethayne having Disintegrate now and Bloodthorn, like it's a +4 damage swing on the Archangel, so it's really difficult for you to deal with that, or difficult for the Archangel to not kill anything. So I'm in a bit of a unique position here on turn 2 in that I have enough threat range to where I can maybe start affecting the table a little bit. Not a ton, but at least some. And I want to make sure that I kind of stay out of the threat range of a lot of Ethan's stuff because the Ravagers could eat pretty, not easily, but under feet turn, I think you could really smash most of my huge bases down. So I don't want to give you the opportunity to get into any of those. So I'm being really cautious with how I advance up here because once this turn is over, you're in my threat with everything. So I don't have to be super hero-like and get really up in your grill. The next thing I end up doing here is I think I'm trying to figure out what it is that the Archangel can threat, because that Lord of the Feast is something that I'm very cognizant of being a problem for me because I do have a lot of support models that are just kind of hanging around, and always and forever the Lord of the Feast is going to be a real pain in the butt when you've got a bunch of huge bases hanging around because they can just kind of pop up anywhere and do things that you really didn't think they could do. So that's something that I'm planning on trying to at least drift on later. But right now I'm just trying to get the rest of my stuff into position. The Bloodseer can fly with his little tiny wings, so I hang him out behind the rock because I do want him protected a little bit, because that Animus, him getting the Animus out for the Archangel is a really big deal, and making sure I've got telemetry to help the thrones hit the Ravagers a little bit more reliably is good. I mean, they hit on 6s, but hitting on 4s is way better. The next thing I end up doing here is Bethayne ends up going and putting out Bloodthorn on, or no, I don't need to put out Bloodthorn on the Archangel because it has it from the theme benefit.
Yep, because you get free upkeeps.
Yep, so it's already got it. I move up into position to stay out of threat of the Raptor, but in threat of some good drifts. My first drift ends up going in a direction that doesn't really help me at all, but the second one ends up going short enough to where it's going to clip the Lord of the Feast, and I think I might have clipped something else in this, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe just the objective, which I can't do anything with.
I mean, technically, I think you could set it on fire. But...
Yeah. So the big deal was that I got into Lord of the Feast here, and I blow up the damage roll and leave him on like 2 boxes, I think, something like that. Because you were armor 18, I'm POW 14, down to 7, up to 9.
Oh, you were out of Animus. Oh, yeah, with Bloodthorn.
Yeah, with Bloodthorn. And the next damage roll ends up doing 1 damage to him, so that was unfortunate. And I think there might have been a Puppet Master hanging out on the Archangel, but I'm not 100% sure at this point. And then I just use my deceptively fast rule to repo out of range of the Storm Raptor, because I think I got into range of it and then had to back out so I didn't get charged by it.
Yep, because Storm Raptor with Hunter's Mark threatens 14.
Yep, and I really don't want him getting into the Archangel and making him have to fight his way out of it instead of shooting, which is what I really want to use him for in this game. He's more of like a controlling ranged piece until he needs to unpack, because I really don't have any threat extenders in this list. So he's just, not that he needs to have his threat extended. I mean, he goes out another 12 inches, so I'm not worried about that so much, but my threat ranges in this list are pretty static, all things considered.
And his Animus is really solid into Ravagers, because that means auto fire checks at dice -1. Like, this game literally boils down to, in my mind, when we did the matchup for the bird off, is like, how good are my tough checks?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be like a key factor in my mind, because you got so many damage rolls. Like, I just need a few good tough rolls to swing it.
Especially with something like the Throne, because the tough will stop their little battle wizard thing from going off, or their mega battle wizard. So that's going to be important for you too. Tough is going to be a problem, but hopefully I have enough attacks here to get through it all.
So there's not a whole lot I can do this turn. Surefoot is up on the top unit of Ravagers, and then I'm just doing some pop measuring to go out there and get some corpses out. First turn I loaded up Lord of the Feast, now I'm finishing up Calls, so now he's fully loaded. But this is the turn where I'm going to have to give Brian stuff, and I'm going to have to hope my tough checks go well, because I can't breach anything. I have to contest the zones, and the zones are fully within his threat ranges now. So, and unfortunately, the terrain was not very good in my favor. Like, there's a cloud up on that top part that doesn't matter because he's Legion. Like, when we were playing this, I was having, like, Mark II flashbacks of all my circle games in the Legion where I'm like, this is bullshit, where they just ignore all my stuff. But, like, if that rubble had been, like, a nice forest or something, I feel like that changes the matchup drastically.
Yeah, for sure. The forests are like the natural enemy of Legion stuff. I mean, the fact that I fly helps a lot with this because all my huge bases fly. But not being able to see through them makes things a little bit more difficult, especially since you can see through them, since I believe you have Tree Walker on just about everything.
All the Tharn. Or all the male Tharn, at least.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the bird. So I could fly up and potentially... Or I'm measuring my aim threats. Because I want to Animus for the damage, but I also want to aim for the bonus to hit. Because it's a kind of a wash. But I probably should just Animist for the damage and walked up. And I'm shooting the fly boy. What's their name again?
The Sorceress and Hellion.
Yep, the Sorceress.
Sorceress, yeah.
And I roll really bad. And I leave her on, I want to say 2.
Yeah, I think it was 2 boxes at this point. So I'm not too worried about having her in threat right away. It means that the Storm Raptor kind of just stays put where it is. I could have had it maybe a little bit further back so he can't just aim and do it. Because getting him into my threat ranges is nice, but for the most part, it's a slight mistake, but I don't think it's a terrible one.
No, I just wanted to try and get off a magical spray pre your feet, and that's pretty much all it was. And like, I have the Storm Raptor's on 3 Fury. I could have reloaded the auto hit and almost not like Snake Eyes killed. I think I would have needed about 14. I would have needed like a 4.
Yeah, a 4 to kill.
But I was so scared that if the Raptor goes full, Iona just dies. Because like, you don't even have to hit her. If you drift a couple fire AoEs onto her, and then the Thrones get some of those nice eruptions into her, like, it's just bad. And then there you're seeing me, I'm running that Tharn unit, and I'm trying to space out so the eruptions don't just murder the entire unit trivially. And like, a 5-inch jump is a huge board space. Like, I'm having such a problem spacing out, so I end up having to cluster a couple people just to eat it. That way, like, it diverts it away from the rest, and there the bird goes. I hope that's the last time, but I want to say in my heart that it's not.
Yeah, well, I think it's the last time, yeah. At least I think. And that's just me, like, just throwing dice to throw dice.
So pretty much all that unit, except for that front one that went way up there, just to dig deep, is in the Shaman bubble of no knockdown. So like, I got that going for me, and then I got the tree porting up, but I'm trying to see where it wants to go because I know he can easily scalpel it, but I want to try and divert where the eruptions go to, and like, it's not good for the auto hitting Pow-10s to go into the bird, but the Ravagers are more important in my mind.
Yeah, I think the bird is more of like a piece that can do work, but you're really not doing much of anything until I start committing to the game. So the Ravagers, I feel like, are your more important pieces, and that bird's just kind of a big distraction piece for me.
Yep, it's just a nice gun platform, and if I can get some nice pulses off, which the pulses in this matchup don't like. If I'm pulsing on your support, something's wrong.
Yeah, either one way or the other, something has gone terrible for us.
Yep. That unit of Ravager is just going up, doing the whole 5-inch spine burst thing.
Yeah, Eruption of Spines, or Spine Burst, whatever it's called now, is a pretty nasty little spell for this unit in particular. Typically, it's not something you have to worry about with medium-based infantry because you should be out of the range of being able to take a bunch of damage from it. But Ravagers aren't known for their toughness in terms of armor, so they kind of have this weird thing where their armor's all right and their defense is all right, but Eruption of Spines just doesn't care.
It's more of like your feet doesn't care.
I guess, yeah, that too.
Because like, on average dice, you hit with feet, and on average dice, or dice -5 before buffs. Mm-hmm. Like, I forgot harm is model unit. I thought it was just model. So you could harm a whole unit, and now it's dice off 3 boosted. Like, that's why this matchup is all about them tough checks.
Yeah, there's like, if I hit something, chances are it will die.
As you could see in that transition, the Tharn player's worst enemy is moving the fucking corpse tokens around with all the Ravagers.
Yeah. It's rough, but you do what you got to do, right? So for turn 2, I know I'm going to be unpacking a bunch of stuff here. I feel like I'm kind of in the middle on feat turn. Like I might want to do it now just to start putting out a lot of damage and get a ton of work done. Like I said, between all of the buffs here with Disintegrate, Bloodthorn, and Harm, anything I touch is just going to collapse. And feat make sure that it 100% happens. And you'll also notice that the Lord of the Feast hasn't really unpacked. So kind of my decision matrix for the top of the turn is, what do I need to get rid of? And I see that Brigade and Call are standing right in front of me, and I fear those models so much. They have not touched me bad yet, but I don't want to make a habit of that. Well, I do want to make a habit of them not touching me, but I don't want to ever have that happen, period. So they're kind of like priority number 1 for me to get off, because once they're gone, it makes it so that one of the only things that can really reliably take off my 120s is going to be either Iona's feat turn or the bird itself, and even then the bird's a little dodgy on whether it can take them off in one round or not.
Yeah, he's POW 18 on his bite, so it's like dice off 2.
And the defense stat on the Archangel is not terrible. It's not like a Glacier King or something that's like sitting at defense 10. You know, I think these guys are 12s. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong on that one, but I don't have War Room in front of me. But the I know the Thrones are defense 10, so that's not a problem. But the Archangel might be a little bit harder to hit.
Yeah, he's def 12.
So I think I'm just going through the motions here with...
Or no, he's not.
Oh,
because I remember we had this discussion because I thought he had the same stats as an Archangel, but he has higher armor and lower def.
All right, well, I'm sure whoever's watching this will pay more attention to the stats than I am right now.
Because he's 11-19.
Oh, gotcha. Well, at least 11 is better than 10. It's not by much, but it means what your Raptor needs... Fives to hit, yeah. It's not great. So I think I'm going to be riding the struggle bus a little bit here because the CID rules are not something I've completely committed to memory. Typically, I'm not a person who like really gets into the CID experience, but I was really excited about the changes that happened here, so I really wanted to get these out on the table. I believe I'm working on some easy sprays first. Bethayne's kind of hanging out behind the forest and has feated, and we might be arcing some spells through her at this point. I believe I might, yeah, because I'm boosting them, and now
You disintegrated Call.
Yeah, there we go. So a Disintegrate went up on them because I do want to make sure they're gone. And that got arced through Belphegor, and I think this is... I realized that Belphegor costs 1 less for a spell when you arc through him, so I got a Fury on her. So she's at least camping 1 and hanging out. The next thing up is the Blackfrost Shard, and I keep them kind of huddled together to get the most uses I can out of their stealth thing, because Ethan doesn't really have a way to see through it. But I think I'm close enough to where it doesn't really matter a whole bunch now, so this might not have been the greatest move in the universe. But I really wanted to get Harm onto the unit of Tharn that were sitting in the bottom zone, and the main reason being is that I just want to make sure that zone or that side feels like it's a little bit easier for me to collapse, and then I guess the more zones I collapse, the more it kind of forces the bird to have to go somewhere away from my Archangel, which is what I'd prefer happen, but I think that really those two are going to be in the middle fighting it out. But if I can collapse zones, it means that they're not under threat for being scored on me, since I don't have the greatest options to score them. I've only brought 2 units, and the Ice Witches are just kind of hanging out in back, making sure everything's got Puppet Master that needs it. So with the Blackfrost Shard being the only other unit I have, I just want to make sure that I can take as many of those scoring options away from Ethan as I can. You'll kind of see me dodge back and forth here with the Bloodseer. This is mostly because I'm not quite sure what I want to do with him, and then I check to see if he can actually get a charge onto Brigade. And I know, like, when I move the model back and forth, it probably screwed up the charge distance a little bit, possibly. But we do have just enough to get in there, and it wasn't that I conveniently put him back in spot to get the charge, but at least... but at least get there. And I boost the hit and crack and hit her. So now she's gone, and then I put up the Draconic Aura for Animus for the Archangel. Unfortunately, the Bloodseer is not in a great telemetry spot for some of the things that the bottom throne wants to get into, but it is in a decent enough spot for the Animus to do some work, and there will be a few things caught by telemetry, although I think he's command 6, so he probably is. I thought he was 8, so he's probably not in the greatest spot.
The bottom zone really doesn't need telemetry because that's not the Surefoot
that's
unit,
not
so
the
you need
Surefoot
feated
unit.
5s.
Yeah, it's not
or feated
bad.
6s, so it's like...
Yeah, it's not terrible. So I think the Sorceress from the middle went up and maybe sprayed something, or maybe put up Wind Ravager.
Nah, she sprayed...
Lord of the Feast to get rid of it. That's right. So that was a big win for me to get rid of the Lord of the Feast with the model that Ethan didn't quite commit to kill. Next up, I've got the other Sorceress and Hellion moving up to try and take out some of the Ravagers that are in there. The fun thing about playing with Thrones is that you can, even when people are trying to do this thing where they're spreading out for the eruptions, with the massive threat that this thing has, with that 4-inch reach, it really influences a large amount of the table. So if they spread out, chances are you can still get just about everything you need in there. And my charge attack ends up missing, and you get to dodge out of it, but not completely out of my melee range. So I go for another attack and hit this one. So now I'm trying to figure out what kind of attack I'm going to end up using, and I'm just checking ranges for the spray 8 to see if it's better to spray something or erupt something. And I believe I choose eruption on this one. Yeah, because I only get one extra model to jump to. And I think we put some damage on Iona and maybe a Ravager.
No, you targeted the objective, I want to say, and it jumped, because Lord of the Feast is still alive back there.
Oh, gotcha. I thought he was gone.
No.
So one of the Ravagers at least went down that we were messing with over there. So now I've got more... I don't know why I'm rolling so many dice. Maybe I just rolled crazy on a leap or something. Or there was a Puppet Master in there. I'm not 100% sure how all the rerolls happen, but you can kind of see that top zone is really evaporating now.
I have yet to make a tough check this turn,
Yeah,
so
it's
like
been real
things
rough.
are not going well.
Yep. So I must be just like taking attacks into other Ravagers, because I think there were 2 that I could get in on, and maybe there was a third. So
There's only 2 of them left in the unit.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's only 2 left, so I must have been able to get a
Or
couple
there's
and then
3.
do some
There's
eruptions.
one way over there. You kept eruptioning into the objective to try and do more damage.
I think there was some damage rolls maybe going into the bird too.
Yeah, the bird ate a couple of them too, like, and you did decent at dice -8.
Yeah, the Eruption of Spines just has this like really great ability to influence so much of the table when you start taking away the things that are in between your model and your opponents. Like that whole zone, just being able to leap from where the throne is to the objective or the bird was really intense.
Yeah, like I was actually shocked when they made the thrones part of Bethayne's feat. Like,
yeah,
because this was after week 3, so of course the thrones are in. Because week 2, the thrones were not included in her feat. It was just warrior models, I want to say.
Yeah, it was just warrior models.
And like it was kind of a mopey feat, but then like the thrones just take it over to amazing.
It's weird because like not including them makes the feat not super awesome, and then including them makes it feel just a little over the top. But I think if Bethayne's feat doesn't affect thrones, they obviously don't make it in this list.
No. And then thrones don't see as much play. Like this list kind of just builds itself. Like Archangel double thrones is just solid.
Yeah, and you know, I'll save it more for the discussion at the end, but I do feel like it's a really good all-comers list. Next up, the throne on the bottom went, and we're hitting these guys pretty well because they're not sure-footed. And I've got the ability to try... I wanted to try and get all 3 of these Ravagers in my spray. And when I say 3, I mean the lady in the back. I forget her name.
The Blood Shaman.
The Blood Shaman. But I can't do that, and I do want to get rid of her because I don't want Divine Inspiration hanging out, so I decide to not go for the UA and get the Grunt and the Lady in back. So that ends up happening, and I don't have any more juice in the tank to deal with that UA. I would really like to get rid of him, but it's just not something that I can make happen right now with what I've got going on.
Yeah, because now that unit still has Vengeance. You took out the top one, which really sucked, but... with command 8 or 9, there was just nowhere where he couldn't go.
Yeah, exactly. You had to get in the middle and influence the rest of your unit somehow, and that's just like more of the problem with playing against thrones in general is like they just do so much in such a massive area. It's just like this huge 8-inch bubble of death.
Yep, and now I believe the Archangel's going up and shooting the Raptor.
Yep, so I use the proxy base to get him up there.
No, you're shooting the objective.
It's the objective, yeah, because I can shoot the objective and still have it, like the bird's close enough to where I'm taking boosted damage rolls on it. Because I still have Bloodthorn on myself. The objective, the bird and the objective are in Draconic Aura, I think.
Yep.
So there's a lot of damage going on out here, and I end up taking out the objective, and I have one more shot left, and I realize I can go after the tree. So I put that out there and blow it up, and then the boosted damage roll on the bird ends up doing not a ton of damage, but still enough. I think we've taken the bird down by like 20 boxes or something so far, just from like random shooting.
You have almost half healthed it from blast damage and from accidental thrown damage rolls.
Yep. And this is I repositioned the Archangel. Really, what I should have done here was kept him back so it's harder for the bird to get into me. I definitely kept him in threat range of the bird, melee threat range, and that's not really the greatest thing in the world for me because I have such a commanding presence on the table, and I feel like I've just given up a little bit of that by not being more cognizant of what the bird's threat range is. So this turn is a little bit of an oopsie on my part. As I was stopping the recording to do the transition in the middle, I must have not hit the record button again fully, because my record button's a little recessed, whatever. I've just messed up a little bit. But thankfully, instead of Ethan pushing stop on the recorder for the sliding track of the camera, he didn't. So we both messed up, me in a bad way, Ethan in a good way. So this is the angle you get to watch the rest of this turn from. After this one, though, it's completely back to normal, so you don't have to worry about it. You're just going to be staring at like the butt of a throne and an Archangel for a little while.
And luckily, almost all the work I did this turn was literally right here in front of where this camera is sitting.
Exactly. Like it's almost in the perfect place for playing this turn out.
Because the top zone, or the left zone for me, is pretty much dead to me because there is no way in my mind I can clear it reliably. Because Iona is so far positioned to the right. If she goes far left to catch those, there's 3 Ravagers in the top unit, 3 Ravagers in the bottom unit, but the bird can help at the bottom side or help the Archangel side more. So I'm going to try and fight back and reclaim the right side instead of trying to take over the left side. That could possibly be easier because you just have a throne in the zone.
Yeah.
But I need to do work and take out the Archangel this turn and try and take out that bottom throne. So the Bloodweavers have ambushed, and they're just hidden literally right under the camera in charge range of pretty much those 3 miles right there in front.
Yeah, and there's a Forsaken hanging around too, that the little one in back. So it's like a couple ice witches, or just one ice witch, the Forsaken, the Sorceress and Hellion, and then that throne's just hanging out.
Mm-hmm. And this turn it's a little bit longer of a turn for me because it's going to be my feet turn. I don't have a lot of resources left, so I need to make sure things go well. And I believe Iona has just gone, and I believe she just hunters marked the
throne. Yep.
Because she was in range to do that before she charged. Or
I think maybe you might be planning it out right now because without Hunter's Mark, I think you can get Iona on the throne. Or no, you needed Hunter's Mark to get on the throne, and you were trying to check to see which of your other Ravagers in that zone could get onto the throne with Hunter's Mark. And unfortunately, it was only one of them out of the ones that were left up there because they had spread out quite a far ways back to stay protected.
And I lost Vengeance.
Yes, and
lost actually
Vengeance.
That's the proxy base for Iona because I believe I'm planning out Iona charge. She was in range just to charge it. She doesn't get her half-inch melee. She just gets her 1-inch.
Yep.
And I feat, I charge, and then unfortunately you can't see my damage roll. She does okay. You can see the grid on him. And then I Hunter's Mark the Archangel, I believe, because I can get 1 Ravager from that unit onto the Archangel. So I think 1 Ravager and the pot went over and gave it max corpses.
Yeah, just so you could make sure you could get a ton of damage on that throne.
Yep, just so I could buy boost. And then
Yep. And originally I was feeling pretty comfortable with the throne taking those charges. I mean, it's armor 20 and it has 36 boxes, I think. Or 35 for the throne.
Oh, for the throne.
I think it's 34. It's not quite a full Warjack grid, but it's pretty close.
And then Iona did put Pursuit on the Archangel in case this plan goes to crap, just as an extra safety layer. So she's, I believe, camping 0.
Yeah,
because she took all of her attacks into the the thing that she could, and she got it down like 1/3 health.
Yeah, you're really hoping here that the throne and the bird, and not the bird, but the throne and the Archangel go down, because if they don't, Iona's in some serious trouble.
Yep. So like I had to do all or nothing this turn. That's why I decided the pursuit move was the safest bet. I maybe should have put Surefoot on myself instead, just for that extra layer of protection. But I have played Iona before where pursuit on a heavy is just ball busting, and then those Blood Weavers take out the throne.
Yeah, unfortunately enough, they had enough juice to take out the last boxes on the throne.
Yeah, they cranked to that POW 14 with gang on her feet.
Yep. And then this was the problem. There was one Ravager. Well, not a problem. It was a problem for me because I didn't want this to happen. There's one Ravager that can get into the Archangel, which doesn't sound like the biggest deal in the world, but when you're looking at the melee output of the Storm Raptor, having an extra charge come out of nowhere that you didn't really expect is unfortunate.
Yep. Because he does decent damage. Like, he gets a POW 18 charge, so dice -1, buys an attack, and then I believe he boosts damage, so it's a POW 16, so dice -3 boosted, and then just buys another little attack.
He did a lot of damage to that Archangel. I think he took out the spirit, or no, not the spirit. He took out the mind, and it doesn't have him hanging out on a lot of boxes.
And then one of the things I had to do during her activation was heal the Storm Raptor, because you took out his body from the blast damage.
And the fire, too. Like,
Yep.
You had that huge fire check at the beginning of the turn also, because that goes off at POW 14, and it can't go out. So.
And the Storm Raptor missed his charge attack,
which was amazing for me.
Yeah, like, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, no.
But as you can see, that grid is filling up pretty fast, and the Archangel goes down. I was really happy when that charge failed, or the charge attack failed. But if the Ravager hadn't gotten in here, then I think the Archangel survives, because the bird is almost capped on Fury right now.
He had one last attack to buy into somebody else, I believe.
I think it was the Bloodseer you took the attack on, and that one did a ton of damage too. Like, he just wasn't putting up a lot of good numbers there.
And then I deceptively mobiled forward just to engage Bethlagor to help keep Iona safe.
Yeah, you don't want me arcing a bunch of disintegrates onto your Warlock with no transfers.
Nope. Under feet, like, I'm 16, 17. So, like,
I just need 9s to hit, and if I get a telemetry up there, it goes down to 7, so, like, it's not bad.
No, but I want to try and remove that. So I end up sending the Ravagers in. One of them goes into the Blackfrost Shard unit.
Yep.
It's because he was able to charge into feet range, and they pop mini feet because the UA is still alive, so I figured now's the time before he dies.
If you got him, yeah.
So he's just Pac-Man-ing his way through that unit.
Yep, this is an unfortunate thing for me, because I was kind of hoping that the Blackfrost Shard could hang out a little bit longer, but the Vengeance move really made sure that couldn't happen, because the throne just had to do what it had to do.
Yep, and I believe I sent one dude on the throne just to get in its way, but like the attack did almost nothing because it was out of feet.
Yeah.
So he's just Pac-Man his way through.
Yep, and now you're on the objective, and you're wondering if you've got Belphegor, and I think you do, but you end up taking attacks on the objective instead. Or no, you do put him on Belphegor. It's just not a lot of damage.
No, because, it's dice damage.
Yeah, it just didn't look like I did a lot of damage on the phone.
No.
So for whatever reason, the camera decided to start recording, or maybe I noticed, so this is now the end of Ethan's turn in our normal view.
No, this is actually back when I did the charge into the Blackfrost Shard.
Oh, so I just didn't cut it right, so now you get to watch all this happen again.
Yeah.
I probably should just cut this out.
I mean, you could.
All right, so I lost more than what I thought I was going to. I didn't really feel like I was going to lose that throne, or at least I had hoped that I wouldn't. And the Archangel I was also hoping to not lose. I think if that Ravager doesn't come in, then there's a chance that I survive only because that charge attack missed. But again, if I would have just repositioned a little bit further back and made sure that the bird couldn't get in on me, I'd just be in a better spot for it. So that was a harsh lesson learned, but it doesn't mean that I don't have anything left in the tank here. Most of Ethan's Ravagers are dead, and having one throne left means that I still have a lot of offensive output hanging around in that bottom zone. The scenario pressure for us isn't really up all that much. I think Ethan was able to score the top zone, but I had taken out my objective, I took out his objective. So there's really not, I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure right now because I think I can meaningfully contest and get rid of most of the things that Ethan has to score with in the appropriate places. So like I feel like my goal this turn is to take out the bird because it has quite a bit of damage on it. And I feel like in order to do that, I need to free up the throne somehow, or just eat a free strike from a Ravager and not care about it because I don't feel like he's going to do a ton of damage. Definitely not enough to box the throne because he didn't do a lot the first time. It just means that the throne leaves that zone, and I'm for the most part okay with that if it just means that this bird can go. So I decide to take some attacks, or maybe I'm throwing spells with Bethayne first. Or no, that's not Bethayne. That's a ice. This is the Succubus. I decide to try and do a hex bolt or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever her hex, it's hex blast or hex bolt.
The range 6 one.
Yeah, it's the one that says you can't do like special attacks. It's mostly just so I can try and get some damage out there, but she ends up missing, which she only needed a 7, but it just didn't connect.
If you had done it to the Raptor wouldn't be able to pulse. Gesundheit.
Oh, thanks. That was but yeah, if I did it to the Raptor, I'd stop it from pulsing, but I really wanted to get this one rat because the problem right now with my goal of getting the throne into the bird is that one of these Ravagers has to go. They're kind of smack dab in the landing spot of being able to connect with the Storm Raptor. So I'm trying to be respectful of not overcommitting to this plan somehow and trying to actualize it with the pieces that I have. I think like when you're down when you're down your big tools, you really have to be smart about how you activate things and what you do to get things into certain spots. So like Belphegor is definitely like he is in that toolbox is being able to be used to try and clear some of these out. And there's definitely some value to maybe doing something with Bethayne where I can flesh meld with him. But the issue that I would have then is that my Fury is just not going to work anymore because like I don't have any more beasts after that, so I would have to be cutting a bunch, and Bethayne only has so many boxes. Belphegor's taken some damage, so I don't know if that's something. I'd rather have Belphegor as a beast right now, given that I'm down so many beasts.
And his Animus is starting to get really good.
Yeah, especially with those Blood Weavers on the zone, and or Blood Weavers on the table, and you being unable to see through clouds. So the next thing I get up here is I believe I'm disintegrating the bird. Or no, it was a disintegrate at a Ravager. That's what I decided to do. Yep. And it took out the one that I not needed, but the one that I wanted to get gone. So that was a good deal. Then I believe I do something at the bird. Maybe it was a disintegrate, and I didn't have enough to boost it because Belphegor was engaged, so I couldn't arc through him. Then I take that free strike from the Ravager, which I don't really care too much about, but he does a decent amount of damage. Again, it's not enough to really like make me feel like the throne's in danger. It just means that now I've got 4 attacks on the bird, and
your dice damage with disintegrate.
Yeah, it's really harsh for that bird, especially since it took a ton of damage earlier. And I do still have the Ravager in melee, so hopefully I can kill the bird within my initial 4 and then have maybe 1 or 2 attacks left over to punch that Ravager in the butt, although I don't think I'm in the back. So I think that was 2 attacks to get the bird down, maybe 3, but now I've killed him, so it means that I can cast something, and I'm not quite sure what I want to do just yet. I think that I'm going for one of the Ravagers that's in the zone, and this might be with a eruption.
Yep.
And I end up not doing any damage to that Ravager, but then I end up going into Iona, who takes a little bit, and maybe something else. But it wasn't like the most impressive magical spell.
I actually make my first tough of the game, I think.
Yeah, you do, because that one I hit you with that and then was unable to kill you to get more damage out there, which is unfortunate because I would have liked to have gotten that one Ravager that happens to be standing in the rubble.
Or no, he didn't tough, he just rapid healed.
Oh, gotcha. So it wasn't enough to kill him is probably what happened somehow.
No, he did like 3 and I rapid healed 1. Now I toughed.
Yep, this is Belphegor doing his thing.
And then
now.
I rapid healed 3, so I'm on 4.
Yep, and with Fury 3, Belphegor just wasn't able to put up the numbers to get him down. So when I auto hit him for my second attack, I didn't have enough to boost, and he ended up healing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that Ravager I wanted that Ravager gone so I could try and keep up a little bit of scenario pressure, but it just didn't work out. It is worth noting that I had contested the bottom zone with a Spell Martyr just to make sure I didn't give Ethan points.
Yep. And then I should have probably measured it more. I don't know if I could have repoed farther away from the throne, but I'd hoped the Raptor would live this turn, just because I really need that piece, because that throne, I did a decent damage chunk to it, but I don't have anything really left in the tank that can kill it. Even Iona going into it with full fury, she didn't kill the other one on feat turn, so she's definitely not going to kill one on non-feat turn.
Yeah, I feel like right now the throne is kind of especially with snacking hanging around, I think it's in a good spot to kind of exist for the rest of the game. So it's gonna be a pretty pivotal piece for me.
And here I try to get cute and do a chain lightning to clear that zone, and I hit. And I kill.
Yeah, Spell Martyrs aren't known for their defensive stats. It was really just to kind of delay the scoring game to make sure that Ethan can't kind of pull this out of nowhere.
The problem is that unit, the Ravager that's in the middle zone is part of the unit in the bottom. So since he's toughed and knocked down, he's still alive. So I can't score the bottom zone as long as he's alive.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, so I gotta get funky to try and kill my own Ravager to try and score the bottom zone instead of him standing up and activating, because I'm worried if I miss an attack, even in the butt, then he's going to live. And I got to worry about tough, so I'd rather just him stay knocked down, and then I can auto hit him and maybe do some work. And there I'm trying to measure Bloodweaver threats. And I'm trying to I have to do with Hunter's Mark, without Hunter's Mark, because Iona's in a decent place. So she walks up into the rubble. Hunter's Mark's the Throny boy.
Yeah, thrones are mat 7, but that's not good enough to hit someone who's sitting at defense 18 with Surefoot.
Yep, when she puts it on herself, and I believe I did cycle it this turn to her.
Yeah, because the throne I could maybe swing a 9 with Puppet Masters, and then I think if I crack her, then she just gets evaporated.
Yeah, because she's armor 14 and my feat's done, so...
Yep, so I'll probably be dice +2 or dice +4 with that, so it wouldn't look great for her.
So the Ravager in the zone actually charged up, and Brian I accidentally charged him too far, because his whole goal about charging that model was to kill her, get the corpse, and then buy an attack with the corpse into the knockdown Ravager. So Brian let me back him up so he had line of sight, because I charged him too far forward. So he auto hits, and he actually kills, luckily.
Yep, no corpses for you because you don't get him off friendlies.
Yep, and no tough because he was knocked down. So now I do score the bottom zone.
Yep, which I'm not too worried about. I've got my Succubus kind of heading over there, and there's an Ice Witch hanging out, so I've got some options to try and continue to contest that zone, but there's only a couple guys left there, so I'm not too worried about it.
And the clock did get screwed up partway through one of these turns. During one of the transitions, we didn't unpause it, or something happened, so we're currently playing without a clock.
Yep. So that option is gone as a way of winning right now.
Yep, and I think that hurts me more than you.
For sure. I think you've got your activations take a lot more time to formulate than mine do, because my big gun platform of the throne is just I just kill stuff and then that's that. There's not a whole lot of really deep decisions that I need to make here. But for you, getting down to your final pieces, every single decision is extremely important because of the low amount you've got.
I do want to add, I believe that was the first time of my entire Warmachine career I used Puppet Master offensively and hit the throne with it.
Yep, the throne has been offensively puppet mastered, which I keep forgetting that it's something you can do because it's just so beneficial to just do it on your own stuff, and usually isn't that great to do it on other people's. But for me, for this particular moment, looking for sixes, getting an offensive reroll isn't the greatest place to be. So that's something that I got to work out with the rest of my turn, or just be cognizant of. But in terms of how I'm feeling in turn 4, I feel pretty good in general. Like, Ethan's losing a lot of pieces. Some of those pieces are clumped up together in that top zone, so it means that the throne can have a little bit easier of a time dealing with them. I still have Belphegor, so I've got some good threat potential. There's also the chance that I could hop into Belphegor if I want to just kind of like be a little bit more survivable and run around and do work. But for the most part here, there's a lot of thinking to try and figure out how to get over to these Bloodweavers, because those are going to be something that I feel like if I don't deal with them, they could come in and start collapsing a lot of my support, because outside of the throne, there's not a whole lot down here that's extremely survivable. So I think we're just hemming and hawing. Hemming.
Yeah, because you're just planning out what you want to do with the throne.
Yeah, and when we were talking about how, like, my decisions are easier because I just have this throne.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, no.
It does get a little bit more difficult for me to deal with, because I need to make sure that the throne's in position to do everything it wants to do. And now I kind of taken enough damage to where, like, free strikes are something that I do have to think about, even though I don't think the throne's really engaged with anything. I just need to try and figure out how I can utilize the pieces that I have to make the most out of trying to score this the middle zone, really, because that's like something that I want to do, is just to make sure that I can kind of, if the scoring game gets away from me in these final turns, I don't want it to be a thing where, like, if we do go to turn 7 for whatever reason, I don't want to lose because I did falter on scoring when I thought it wasn't really much of an option anymore.
And there, Iona is Pursuit moving forward just outside 4 inches.
Yep.
Just to be a little closer.
And I had a feeling that triggering Pursuit here wasn't going to be the biggest problem for me. But I think I take my first attack, and I hit something. Or no, I miss because you're dodging right now.
Yep.
And this is just to give me the front. So I do hit that one. You use Puppet Master. I still hit anyways. I crush the damage roll, but he toughs and gets to heal up, which is definitely not what I want for the throne. I've missed one attack, and now the other one's kind of gone moot, so my offensive potential's been kind of stymied a bit here. So I think next up we just go in for the hit again, and
you punch a Ravager in front of you.
I punch a different one, sure. And that one also toughs, which I'm not super happy about. Or no, I killed it because I just snacked it away.
Ow. I want to roll a 6.
I don't know. Something happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened with that. Maybe it would have been a tough roll and I forgot to snack previously. But we kill the one Ravager that's knocked down. And in terms of attacks, I want to try and get some of these Bloodweavers. They're all in a nice little bubble. So I roll to hit, and I do hit all of them, and they all go down because of the nature of the spray and their armor value. So I don't have to worry about those anymore. I've cleared out the middle zone. My objective is still intact, and there's another Ravager that's knocked down. So that's kind of nice for the throne, even though I didn't get to do it as much as I really wanted to. Next up, I have an Ice Witch over here. I'm not quite sure what I wanted to do with her. I think I Puppet Mastered Belphegor is what I ended up doing, because I wanted to get a charge onto the Ravager that was knocked down, and Belphegor has enough to get there, but it's just trying to mitigate the terrain because he doesn't have Pathfinder, and I don't have a way to get it out to him. So we end up finding a way that Belphegor can get in on the Ravager, and I make that charge no problem. I've got my Puppet Master, and I think he might even have double Puppet Master from the objective, but I'm not sure.
Yep, he has Treasure Chest and Puppet Master.
Yep. So, because the Puppet Master-ish effect you get from the Treasure Chest objective is not the same name as Puppet Master proper, so you can have both of them. I didn't need them, but I kill the Ravager, and then I Animus, and this way it means the Bloodweavers, like, legitimately just can't get anywhere effective.
No, because as soon as they touch that AoE, they die.
Yep, and it's also a cloud. It's not quite touching the forest, but it's pretty close, and it kind of blocks off any real damage coming in from Bethayne on that backside. So I still have to deal with this bottom zone. Things just aren't looking super hot for trying to keep everything where it is. I think what happens here is Bethayne ends up shooting a disintegrate into that guy, and it was, I think we just barely had the ability to see around the obstruction somehow. I don't know. Maybe I didn't, because we play with the whole base up there, and I might have just thrown one that I couldn't get. So the thing that shot him was the Succubus. That was what it was. It wasn't Bethayne that did it.
No, it was Bethayne. Succubus ran.
Oh, well, then I guess I might have pulled a fast one on you.
At this point, I don't have much left in the tank, and literally the only thing in that top zone that can kill Bethylgore is Iona because of his stupid Animus. So, like, that really limits what I wanted to do this turn. Otherwise, Iona could try and go in on him. There, Shaman walks up, tries the Chain Lightning again, and then you realize that you couldn't have ran that far because you don't have flying.
Yeah, even though I've got my tiny wings, I do not fly.
So I miss with a 7, because I'm only magic ability 6 now. And I say now, but they used to be 7s, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, so keeping that Succubus around was really nice, and now I don't have to worry about... well, I guess it doesn't matter because you can't score that zone anyways, but it's just nice to have.
Yep. Pot goes up, Puppet Master's Iona.
And I think you can contest the zone with both of those models.
Yeah, I'd hoped to run the Pot Handler over and around to get to that bottom zone. He can't score it right now while the Crockpot's alive, but I figured you'd have to kill it in the zone eventually, and then it could actually score a zone.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that I believe I'm up 1 point on you right now. I think I'm 3-2.
I believe you scored the middle zone. You're up 2-1. Because you only scored the middle.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm still up 1. It's just not the number that I thought it was.
Yep. Iona's going in. I made a mistake here. I upkept Pursuit to be safe. But as I go through here, I'm buying all my attacks, boosting. I eventually kill him. And then I remember I have Blood Boon, so I could have just dropped it and then reapplied Pursuit with... a Blood Boon, because I don't really have anything else to do with Blood Boon.
Yeah.
So, like, that would have net me an extra Fury. Not that it really matters, because I have no transfer targets.
No, but if you're going for the long run, like, you don't want to have to be cutting when you're already, like, not the most survivable. I mean, like, your defense is good, but if I hit you, you just evaporate.
Yep. So I Blood Boon a Hunter's Mark, and then those ladies crisscross now that the stupid cloud is gone. They kill... And then I believe I actually get to use their healing ability when they kill a model. A model in command can heal. So Iona heals a point.
So losing Belphegor is not the greatest thing in the universe. It means I've got to start cutting to get my Fury back. So having 3 dead beasts means I get to go up to 6 and then cut for 1, so it's not bad. I think I might have cut for 2 because I forgot that the Bloodseer existed. Overall, I need to be really careful about how I decide to play the rest of my turns. Everything that I have is extremely important. And if something falters, it's going to be not great because I've lost my last Ice Witch, so I don't have an application for Puppet Master anymore. Maybe keeping the objective around for that would have been nice for the throne right now. But I decide to take the easy attacks first, and if the Succubus can just get rid of this Shaman, then that's one less thing Bethayne has to do. So I end up connecting, thankfully, and this is a POW 13, so it's not bad for the Shaman, and he ends up going down and not toughing. So that's like the absolute best thing that could have happened in that zone, and that just allows Bethayne to run over to the side instead of having to walk, because my big goal with her is to just stay safe. So now I got to clear out this middle zone with the throne, and I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth here to try and get everything I want to, and then Ethan and I just kind of work it out to where it's probably better to just turn the throne around so that Iona's got the butt of it, so that I can get everything that I need to, all 4 of these models,
and be in the zone.
And I think it was to contest her zone too.
Yep, that's what I meant. So you're sitting in both zones in melee range of all the models, because I literally couldn't get out of the 4-inch melee and still do work.
Yep, so I end up facing it around and getting it in the right spot, and that gives me all the pieces that I need to get to and melee range on all of them. And after all of that tedious work, now I've just decided to flip it around and get it in a different spot. I think one of the Blood Weavers I have to say no to, but I'm just hoping that whatever I kill, I can just take care of that one with a magical attack.
So Iona Pursuit moves over.
Yep.
Just to get out of that top zone, because it doesn't matter to me anymore because I physically can't score it.
And now your big goal is to try and chase down Bethayne.
Yep.
So I end up getting the crock pot, I think, almost to the box. And then I take the magic attack back into, I think this is eruption, into the Blood Weavers, and they both go down. Or maybe it was a spray. I'm not sure.
It was the Spiny Burst, because if it hits, you auto kill.
Yep. So next up, I take an attack into the Gator and miss. And I hit I hit it, and then he kills Tufts. Then I auto hit, and then I take a spray into Iona, and she dodges. So like that probably wasn't the greatest idea, because it gave her another 2 inches to move to get to Bethayne. So that ends up being the end of my turn.
So at this point, we talked about it, and I think we just ended up calling it, because at this point, all I can do is run Iona all the way around to engage Bethayne, and then, because that would be my top of 6, so then you have your bottom of 6, so you can try and either A, run away, B, kill me with spells, but I'm def 18 with Surefoot and dodge, so like it gets tricky, and it's hard taking a free strike because that could just kill you after cutting.
It is. I don't have the biggest. I don't like, Bethayne's only got 15 boxes, so like my best thing to do would be like heal everything that I possibly could, since I've been cutting a little bit, and then just run and hope I don't die. The scoring isn't going to be such a big deal because I've got a command on the central zone, and then since I have a Succubus still, it means I can contest the bottom zone from Ethan scoring it, and then if Bethayne's in it, she can just score it herself.
Well, I mean, it's to that point where it's turn 6 and I can't outscore you because now, like, I'm literally tabled.
Yeah, you don't have any way to get points, and I do.
Yep, you're just auto-scoring.
So we end up pulling the plug on this one just because I think we had gone quite a long time with this, with the mess up of the clock. So by now, one of us would have clocked for sure, and it probably would have been me since I was referring to all these CID rules back and forth. But overall, I felt like it was a good showcase of what this Bethayne list can do and how she plays now. If CID Week 3 goes through, I think she ends up skyrocketing to being one of the, not the best caster in Legion, but she's definitely in the top 3, I would say, with the way that she, because like Bloodthorn is ridiculously great. If you take this on something like the Blightedness Archers, even, like just any shooting unit, in especially like Thrones or well, I guess Thrones don't count so much, but like the Archangel, anything that has a high number of shots, you can get a lot of work out of those, and she just brings everything to deal with whatever she wants to. Like when you start baking in the other options from Oracles, you get a lot of ice cages if you need them, telemetry, harm, like you can crack anything and you can hit anything.
Yeah, because you have harm, you have disintegrate, you have Bloodthorn, and then you have the Animus from the
Draconic Aura.
So like you get +8 POW on your gun, so it's a POW 22. Like that turn where the Archangel just stayed in the zone, if he had gone forward, I was terrified you were gonna disintegrate him and then one round him with the Archangel shooting, because like that would just happen.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had enough, like maybe I didn't have enough faith in the Archangel being able to take the bird down from range. So
It would have been dice +4.
yeah, I know it was definitely me playing a little bit more coy and not coy enough with the Archangel. But I think that that's another thing that I think both of us are in agreement that the Archangels immediately become the best gargantuan in the game.
Oh, hands down. Like, the Storm Raptor was king for a while, but like the Archangel Animus and the fact he's just rate of fire 3, like you could have just moved up that turn where you Lord of the Feast lived. All you had to do was repo forward, catch him in the fire aura, and then he auto died.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so versatile. It has the highest base POW of any Garg now because it's just randomly POW 21. Like, because it has a big mouth. Whereas, like, the other Gargantuans are all, like, POW 19.
Yeah, even the troll ones are pretty mopey, but they have access to rage in the stone, but that shouldn't be an excuse for them to be pillow-fisted.
No. And, like, the Raptor's POW 18. His gun gets up to POW 16, but there's not a lot of buffs to range damage. Like, there's 2 armored debuffs in Circle. So, like, its gun caps at POW 18 before you factor in things like Hermit and Rust, but, like,
yeah,
that's just for everybody. But, like, Archangel's like an amazing gun platform now. It's the best in melee, and it's just so good.
Yeah, it's a great piece. I know that there are definitely there's some interest for me to run a double Archangel list eventually, but a lot of this really depends on how the CID finalizes. If Bethayne's feat stays the same with these thrones, I think that this style of list, double throne Archangel, is going to be a pretty prevalent one, just because of what it does. It's just so general, right? Like it cracks things, it takes care of mass infantry. Like playing this into a Flames list or a Mercs pairing, like if those are things that are giving you issues, a Mercs pairing with Flames or a Signar pairing with Flames that isn't Striker 1 maybe, like I don't feel like those lists have the greatest game into this thing because we can essentially just kill whatever we want to, and it doesn't matter what its defense is, what its armor is, we just get it. The throne alone being able to put out 4 sprays if it hits everything, each of its attacks is just bonkers.
The Precursor Knights are spell warded for what it's worth, but like if you just Spine Burst an Archon behind them, like
yeah, they just pop.
Yeah, you're just literally melting dudes all around it, like with 4 initials, assuming like, and you can just spray towards their heavies and clip other stuff. Like it does work, and then like even if you can't, like you literally drift some fire AoEs onto it, and then all the infantry just dies. Like, you want to counter Fiona feat turn, you just literally drift AoEs on everything, set them on fire, and then they just auto die.
Yep. So I'm glad that if the thrones don't stick with CID, which I hope they do, because I feel like it's, like I had said earlier, it's on that point where like if you don't include them, they just kind of fall out of her kit, and if you do include them, it makes it really good. So hopefully these stay. If they don't stay, I'm at least glad I got a chance to play it and show it off. Otherwise, CID for Legion is looking really nice outside of maybe the Virtues. I feel like they just fall a little short, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how the CID shakes out. I know, like, there's a lot of, like, varying opinions on stuff. But, like, normally, like, I am IP banned from the CID forums, so I usually don't follow them at all. You make one little dank legacy account, and then you get banned for life.
Yep.
But I still got an email that year wishing me happy birthday for my CID account, so I thought that was nice of them.
Yeah.
But things are shaking up pretty good. I usually don't like CID games because I like usually like those early weeks, the tweaks are just so out there where it's like nothing's really hammered down. But this was like a week 3 CID, so I feel like all the stuff that came through in this game is probably going to make it through.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out. Otherwise, thanks for watching this one. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but hopefully the more I play these and once CID solidifies, it won't be such a big deal. But if you have any comments on how the game went or how you've been dealing with the Legion CID, you can leave those below, and I'm sure we'll get around to reacting to some of those. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.